It's a first podcast episode. We're doing this now as well. We're doing so much.
We're hella cool like that.
Yeah, hello, welcome to Magical Tea Party. And for once you're not seeing my beautiful face, instead you're listening to my beautiful voice. And also someone else's voice for once.
Hello, it's me, the person that's never on this channel and always does all the work anyway.
Yeah, I'm just here. I don't know. I know all the stuff about
Jake's
D&D.
just the face.
Yeah. I say all the D&D things, and then Laura edits, manages the YouTube channel, has all the recording equipment. Yeah.
Yes, I am the behind-the-scenes person.
So in essence, this podcast is going to be a little less rigid instruction in comparison to me normal videos where I'm going to have one specific topic about one specific thing. We're talking about much broader terms and hopefully educating Laura on how the heck D&D works a little bit more.
Yeah, because my knowledge is extremely limited.
Uh-huh. I mean, you've been playing for how long now?
Since the start of this year, it's probably like January time.
Okay.
So
So,
about 9-10 months-ish, probably.
yeah, a little bit on and off. We had a month or two break when the virus hit, but then we transferred back onto Roll20 and stuff. I'd say I've been doing it about 2 years at this point, and the main reason I know so much, considering that, is because playing is in quotation marks. I DM almost exclusively, except as of recent, pretty much.
Yeah, Jake's pretty much just a perma DM.
Yep, I'm one of those. I don't have a problem with it though, because I mean, the games are friggin' cool. But I don't play the game much. That's a lie. I'm now playing in 3 different games because I have a lot of free time. So
Yeah.
how about we have a topic for today, which is going to be like again a broader term. It's going to be about levels, player levels, and like scaling encounters to levels, giving people proper challenges for said level, and me saying that in a sentence probably scared Laura a lot, but it's much simpler than you'd think.
Yeah, like I say, my knowledge is extremely limited.
Okay.
But to be fair, we did have character levels that went up to like 17, so
Yeah, we
I've got some experience with high-level characters.
yeah.
Not good experience, but, you know, some experience.
We were running a homebrew campaign, and that's been Laura's biggest experience with it. We did it from levels 3 to 15, and I kind of sped it up a lot because around the 9-10 mark I was getting really bored of the game. So I just kind of accelerated it a lot, so we didn't properly get to explore that, but you were running around as... So you've played characters from all the way from level 1 to... And I believe you kind of just left for a few weeks at the 13 mark, so...
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
You got up to level 13 with a character before... And technically they got to 15, but you weren't there for big old final boss fight.
Yeah.
But you, and more recently, you're playing in a much slower burn Waterdeep Dragon Heist campaign, starting at level Uno, which you hadn't experienced before.
No, my god, did it scare the living life out of me.
Yeah, man, it does that. Dragon Heist goes pretty easy on you in the early game, except for the brain that runs around. That's lethal.
Yeah.
But after a while, I suppose I'll probably ask you, what's your favourite area to play at? You haven't had too much experience on the whole level to level thing, but what was your favourite point?
As in, like, level-wise?
Yeah.
Definitely higher levels. I felt more badass at a higher level. But then again, with all of my characters, I never knew what I was doing. Especially with Edwin, my druid. I did not play the druid very well. Probably a bad class to start off with, to be fair. But I had no idea what to do as a druid, so all I did was spam Thorn Whip.
Mm-hmm.
And with Lockett, my tiefling barbarian, I would just hit things, and that would be it. But I did still thoroughly enjoy getting like real high hit dice and stuff like that.
Yeah, and plus you got as Locket a very, very good magic item, which we might cover at some point.
Oh hell yeah!
It was
Definitely.
It was amazing. It made you literally invincible. It's
For sure.
It's called Black Razor, and basically you become invincible when you kill somebody. But
That was one of my favorite things.
now, as a player, my perspective on levels is very limited because I haven't gone anywhere past level 6 in my life. So that's pretty interesting. And the only reason I'm saying that is because I'm playing in 2 campaigns where I had 2 new characters in it. We started a new campaign on like Tuesday or something.
Yeah, we did.
And it's level 6, and then also I had a new character who was level 6 in a campaign that was ongoing. So that's my highest experience with it, other than let's make 20th level characters and beat each other up because it's funny.
Yeah.
So I haven't really explored that much, but I've certainly made encounters across the whole broad spectrum. So basically, we're gonna first cover like giving players a proper challenge for their level, which is something the DMs can find very difficult, especially when they're new.
Yeah, my first attempt at being a DM for a game which I wanted to be longer than a one shot, but it just ended up being a one shot. I killed you like straight away.
Second encounter, I believe.
Yeah. Just straight off, you just died.
Yes.
To be fair, I went into it not knowing what I was doing, like at all.
And I mean, it's shadows, and sometimes CR doesn't reflect how powerful a creature actually is. So
Well, I definitely learnt that.
yeah, CR, which is how you measure like how strong a thing is in comparison to a party, is basically measured. Let's say your creature has a CR of 3. That means 4 bogged standard, no magic itemed, level 3 characters could have a decent fight against it, with maybe a minor complication coming up. Sometimes when you shift it around a little bit and get like a bunch of smaller ones with smaller CRs, you'll find that it creates a much more engaging combat experience, but sometimes it's a little risky, like with the shadows. How many were there? 4?
Yes, I think there were 4, yeah.
And we were level 2, and as a level 2 party of 3, instantly, when you add more enemies than there are party members, that can start making things imbalanced a little bit. I think D&D is mostly based on thinking that you're going to have encounters with enemies in the maybe one big guy, or maybe one big guy and 2 little guys, or like 5 little guys. They're not expecting you to have mass armies clashing together, which is good. But definitely CR isn't the most accurate representation. If they're good for like generally determining stuff, but when you start getting into that late game, players are going to have class features, spells, abilities, feats that you are just not going to be able to like put this creature up against and feasibly get them to even have a round of good combat in. Let's use an example. In this massive homebrew game that I ran from 3 to 15, there was a recurring, originally a villain, but then just became a nuisance. It's called a Bone Claw. You can go ahead and watch a video that I did about it. Put an iCard there, Laura. Do it.
Yeah, I will do.
Okay. And basically, this mean guy is CR12, and I believe, what level were you all when I put it against you first? Like maybe 7 or 8?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. And weirdly enough, pretty feasible challenge because this thing didn't have anything else about it. It was CR12, but it didn't have any, like, it had a few zombies with it, but other than that, it was just this thing against the entire party. And with some bad rolls on their end and good rolls on my end, that was the first player death that I dealt out.
Oh god, I forgot about that.
Yes, yes. Which,
Rest in peace, Metamorn.
well,
Oh my god.
that resulted in Goop coming in, a grung gunslinger. So
Well, that's true.
I'm not exactly sad about that, and neither was the player either. They were just waiting for their new grung character to just come in. But that thing was lethal, man. At the time, because you guys were all level 7, and if it got...
I mean, it didn't help that the paladin decided to run away.
Ah, yes. That would have definitely changed the tide, but normally player decisions can lead to bad things happening. And this Boneclaw first showed up, and basically in the first round of initiative, took the sorcerer to 0 hit points, and just started running away with the dead body afterwards. And it was certainly interesting, certainly very interesting. And then, I believe in every encounter from then that it showed up in, because it can come back after it dies, that's one of its features, it just kept on being a minor nuisance and going down in the first or second initiative round, because the paladin realized that's what they're good at. Killing undead.
Yeah.
So managed to, like, with a bit of help from someone else, basically two-shot it in the next encounter, and from then it would appear and just occupy the paladin for maybe 2 rounds, and then they could just focus back on something else. Because Boneclaw is an undead. Paladins are literally kitted out to kill undead. That's their thing. No matter what paladin you choose, you're going to be good at it. Even if you're an Oathbreaker who can summon undead, you're still very good at killing them. And it's great because the players are doing their cool stuff, but you realise that a challenge rating 12 monster can't 1v1 a single paladin. And that isn't accurate, so definitely you need to play around that. Like, for example, players can only go up to level 20. There are CRs way above 20. There are like 20, 30 creatures that are like CR 21 to 30. And they're still not a hard challenge if you're throwing like them at maybe a group of level 15s. You weren't there for this, Laura, but in the final fight, their final boss was CR 28.
Ooh.
Yeah. And they won that. They won that, and they were only level 15, which is remarkable. But also just kind of shows that CR gets thrown out the window at a certain point, because again, players are running around with 8 billion spells and class abilities that just basically say fuck you to the DM. And then also they had a bunch of companions with them as well. They brought like all the favourite NPCs along with them. Or at least the ones that they could get, because I killed some of them.
Wait, which ones did you kill?
A few.
My god.
Yeah. The Planetar guy?
You didn't kill the Planetar?
Yeah. That's why he wasn't there.
Oh my
He would have been
god.
there. He would have been there to help, but he got killed. So, yeah. And that happened just all off camera. All off game, even.
Jeez.
So, like, in terms of balancing an encounter a little better, some of the advice that I would give you is that the moment you start getting into 5th, 6th, 7th level territory, that's when throwing one bad guy at them isn't enough. You can do that at the start, and it's great, and they're going to be scared when one of the party members goes down and they just move on to the next one. But the moment you get to that point, like the whole reason that Boneclaw in that encounter managed to kill someone was because about 2 of the party members were preoccupied with a horde of zombies just coming their way. So that was certainly a factor that was taken into account. And it's quite important that you do have all the bases covered. I think I was talking to another group that I run Curse of Strahd for, and one of the players said, I don't really DM much, but I've noticed one consistent thing is that you need some kind of wizard helper for a bad guy to make it work, just to account all the stupid shit that your players are going to be doing. Which is... And I mean, I had that covered because my bad guy was the best wizard in the universe, like Lich, etc. But you need all the bases covered, and you need to... Certainly, don't every single encounter plan to just have a guy with counterspell there to just say fuck you to the wizard. But certainly keep that into account if you want a fight to be tougher and you want people to occasionally not have their abilities work, which is something that should happen, because if you just let a player do their thing every time, they're going to think it's amazing if they just spam it over and over, which is and I mean, I wasn't bothering to counterspell a Thorn Whip, so you just kept doing that.
Yep, the one spell I actually knew how to use.
Yeah. I really like low levels, personally. As both a player and a DM, I find lower levels just more satisfying in general, because you don't have as much stuff as you would in those higher levels, but you can make it work.
Yeah.
So currently we're level 4 in a Dragon Heist campaign, and some of the characters are still very simple. And I think you and our paladin are probably the most simple in concept, because how both of your turns go is, I'm gonna run in, hit it, okay, that's my turn. Except you sometimes run back out, or most of the time even. Most times we're back out. But and even just that concept, like, I don't think you've gotten bored of it yet, have you?
No, not at all.
It can still be really fun to do all that stuff, because it's the one thing you're very good at. Just keep doing it, and it works. So Laura's character has like the mobile feat, 50 feet of movement, and a free disengage after doing something with a bonus, so that's why it's so satisfying to just run in and out. And then, so lower levels can be certainly fun. And also for the other people in the group, which are a bard, a druid, and 2 wizards, which is amazing, they're still having to work with what they've got, which isn't much currently, because they don't have all the powerful spells yet, except... I mean, some of them do. You know, heat metal. Fuck heat metal. Dude made me drop Jarlaxle's +3 rapier, bitch ass.
Hi Ryan, by the way.
Hi Ryan, love you. But I think that, like, lower levels are just more fun for me to run as well, because... Quite frankly, most of the creatures that they give you are designed for levels 1 to 5, or maybe 5 to like 8. So think of all of like the fantasy staples. You've got gnolls, you've got orcs, you've got goblins, hobgoblins, bugbears. You've got all of those sorts of things. None of them really go past being a very big threat, like past CR5. There are a few very, very big boss men who are a bit above those in those groups. But to have the most fun and interesting encounters with all of these, you know, staples of creature types, it's pretty just early level in general. So when you're getting to like level 15 and 16, the sad thing is, and even though D&D is made so that a goblin could potentially kill a level 15 character if they got super duper ultra lucky, but it just doesn't work like that, and it's kind of sad, because I didn't... So there's some guy that I know at one of the game stores or the game store that I occasionally run a game at, and he told me about this system that's like the Warhammer role-playing game system. I don't know, but the concept that he basically advertised to me the most was that you'll get like 6 more hit points over the course of all the levels, and that's frankly a bit more interesting, because hit points just go up and up and up and up and up, and then you've got 200 at level 17 and you're invincible.
Yeah.
But I do think that higher level can still be very fun, but as a DM, it's often hard to find proper challenges for players and finding a better balance, personally.
Yeah.
Because, like, I don't have a proper measure for what's going to happen, because I don't really look at every single spell people take at their level, and I don't really look at every single tiny little ASI that they take. I'm certainly interested in at least asking as a person, but I'm not like taking every single factor into account to make the best possible lethal encounter, because I don't know, it's just boring, which means that often one player will do one thing and then that means the encounter is won.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of big spells, a lot of big class features that can just say screw you, and it's sometimes difficult to deal with when you're running a level 13 campaign. And so I think I did an encounter once where the total CR combined was about 45 or 50 or something.
Whoa.
On you guys. That was the encounter with like all the drow and the Rakshasa and the Artificer Man with Wave.
Yes.
They were, I think it was even higher than 50, maybe 60 or 70.
Jeez.
I think you killed all of them, right? No, one of them got away.
Yeah, the guy with Wave got away, I think.
Yeah, but you pretty much killed all of them.
Yeah.
And a lot of it was due to just... I don't think there was even a particular one thing that you did. It was just the fact that you kept killing things over and over, and like I kind of realized that was the encounter where I realized that, oh my god, our barbarian has like 180 hit points. How am I supposed to deal with this?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
That was interesting. But
having 2 barbarians in the party was a bit different, huh?
And we also had a paladin, so
Yeah.
3 chunky frontliners, and then also the shaman, which is basically like a hybrid cleric warlock sort of thing that we found and thought was cool. He was also running around with like 150 health near the end of the game, and with a good AC because he was a lizard folk or whatever. And it was just really hard to get you guys down. I think near the end of the game, pretty much no one was going unconscious. I don't know if I've told you, but in that final fight, while your character wasn't there, you went down like 5 times.
That doesn't surprise me, because even though I was a barbarian, I was also a bard.
Yeah.
And I didn't really have that many hit points, to be honest.
In comparison.
In comparison to the full barbarian, I mean.
Yeah. And it was interesting, because actually you'd still had Black Razor, so you were just running around not using it for the final fight because it didn't work against the Lich. So you bought like a +1 weapon and went in and killed shit with it. But there's ways you can challenge higher level characters by basically saying screw you. There is the infamous and famous and just everything Tarask, which probably even you've heard of, Laura, maybe.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were having a discussion in one of the sessions while you were telling a player something that had gone, something that was going to happen, and we were all discussing how you would even attempt to beat a Tarask, and we were sort of saying, oh yeah, you'd just throw it at the floor, but then they were like, oh well, it's something to do with it can't take full damage or something. I don't fully know, but
it's immune to like non-magical bludgeoning, so if it can't die from falling because it's not magical bludgeoning.
Yeah.
There are many ways that you could do it, which is the funny thing. when you get to about level 13 or 14, if I threw that Tarask at you guys, you could have beat it pretty easily by just hitting it, which is interesting.
Yeah.
And certainly it has a massive multi-attack. The legendary actions are great. It has resistances. And there's also an ability that I really like that I've actually put on one or two other creatures in games that I've ran, which is basically any spell that you roll to hit a Tarask, I believe I'm getting this right, doesn't work like 5/6 of the time. Or you roll a d6, and if you get a 1 on the d6 when someone shoots it at a Tarask, it shoots it right back at them.
Oh,
So
Jesus.
the spellcasters can't just cast, like, I don't know. Yeah, I think it works for like magic missile as well. So spellcasters can't exactly spam that and stuff, and it goes back at them sometimes, etc. And I've put that on one or two other things because I think it's really interesting to at least handicap them once or twice. So, because there's plenty of times where you handicap the martial classes. For instance, you having Black Razor as your primary weapon, and other than that, not really having any other good weapons. The encounters where you couldn't use it because the enemies were undead, you were severely, severely downgraded. You were running around with a longsword at level 12 or 13.
Yeah.
And it's kind of hard to do that to spellcasters because pretty much most of their saving throws are good, except maybe like strength, dexterity, something like that. Which is you can put a few things on them that they probably have a spell to just say no to it. And in terms of the martial classes, you can just make them make a wisdom saving throw and then paralyze them for 2 rounds, in comparison to the wizard running around with a +10 to their wisdom save and advantage on spell saves because of their cool item that they have. It's a tough juggling act, I find, between letting your players do the cool things and letting them know that the cool things don't happen all the time.
Yeah.
I think if I were to give out any tips on that specific thing, don't go out of your way to mess with them, but certainly design an encounter or two with the thought in mind of, I actually want to make this a credible threat and like scare the players somewhat by having them be immune to this thing that they're going to do, that is their signature thing, which will scare them because it's been so reliable up to this point. And don't do that from then on. Like, just do that once or twice with that specific thing, that specific encounter, that specific creature, etc. Challenge the players. Give them something to actually fight each time. Doesn't always have to be just taking them to 0 hit points. It can be like the fact that I paralyzed a monk for a round and basically knocked them down to 0 because they failed their save, and they had, because this monk in particular was probably the best at avoiding any sort of death or touching anything. So like it was kind of, you could, I think a few times during that they like said some very mean things towards the creature that had paralyzed them. But yeah, do you have any input on this, Laura?
Yeah, being put down like to something that's like, so if we go back to Lockett, who had Black Razor, on the occasions that I couldn't use Black Razor, it was like quite scary, and I felt like, oh shit, I'm just, relying on this weapon to fight things, and you feel like you're, well, I don't want to say useless, but you kind of feel like downgraded by quite a bit, especially when that's like the one thing that you have and you can't use it.
That makes sense. It's very annoying when that happens. I've had things like that happen before. For me, there's been, I think I actually had a character death about 2 weeks ago. I told you about it. I think it was pretty unreasonable, but it basically happened because I had no more rages as a barbarian and got annihilated because I couldn't rely on my one class feature that meant I was powerful. it happens.
Yeah. Just to clarify, this is a player. This isn't a player in Jake's game. This was Jake playing as a barbarian.
Yes, it's me. I'm playing as a character. I'm playing as 3 right now. It's so cool. I'm actually, after this recording, going to play as another barbarian in like 2 hours.
Yeah.
I like being hard to kill, okay? That's my thing. Everyone has their own favourite thing that they like to do. Which is the thing. Yeah, when you're a DM, keep that in mind. Some people have specific builds that they really like and just love to roll with. And keep that in mind and let them do their cool thing. And very occasionally challenge it, which is what happened to me, and then I died. Be careful with that. But I think I've talked about everything that I possibly could about levels. There's probably more, but it's escaping me because it's 10 in the morning and I normally don't. Like, I'm not fully in gear at this time. But thank you everyone for tuning in to our first attempt podcast. What are we even going to call it? That's a question.
I thought we decided on T and D.
Yes, we did. That's
Yeah.
such a cool name. Yes, thank you for listening to T and D. God, that was cool. Good shout, Laura.
I've got some
Next
good
episode, I
ideas.
believe. What are we going to be talking about next episode? I think I wrote it down somewhere.
You did. Let's have a look.
Yeah, we have like a list of subjects written down in a shared Google Doc together, as well as all of the video ideas that I have queued up. 15 of them at the moment, so we ain't never stopping.
Yep. We've got a lot planned for both the
Yeah.
channel and the podcast.
Hell yeah. And I don't know, maybe the podcast will be uploaded on something other than YouTube, and
Maybe.
we'll find out. I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll get
Okay, so next
professional
week's
record.
episode will be on where you've put how to magic item.
Ah, yes, how to magic item. Probably discussing for both DMs and players how to use magic items efficiently, like when you've got them, when to give them to players, like balancing having magic items in the party, because I've certainly had bad incidents with that.
Yeah, well, I mean,
Back racer.
that and you made my druid's AC stupidly high.
Yeah, well,
By,
no, that's, yeah.
by
Yeah,
giving
you had
me-
+3 studded leather.
Yeah,
That's
super
interesting.
high
Funny
for a
thing.
druid.
In Waterdeep Dragon Heist, you might get +3 leather if you kill Jarlaxle.
Oh, that would be nice.
Because you know he has that, I think. I think I told you.
Yeah, but it won't be given to me though as a monk.
Oh yeah, no, it'll probably go to Ryan.
Or Rem, the squishy
No,
wizard.
he can't equip them.
Can he
That's
not?
a wizard. Yeah,
Oh.
probably James, to be fair. He can, because he's a hobgoblin.
Oh, right, okay. The more you know,
Alright.
learning things every day.
Hell yeah. So I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna ask you, Laura, what have you learned?
Oh. I have learnt that. Oh shit, what have I learnt? Hold on.
How rude.
Give me like 2 seconds. Yeah, my memory's bad. We know this already. I have learned that sometimes when balancing out encounters, don't put like way more like no, that's not what I meant to say. CR doesn't always matter when doing fights, because you can have something that's like a massive CR and your party can like obliterate it within seconds.
Yes.
But sometimes you can have too many of one thing and then it can obliterate your party in seconds.
All right,
So
that was the
there
essence
needs to be
of the entire
balance.
episode. Yep, that's all we needed. We could have done that in 2 minutes, but we decided to make it like 35.
Yep.
But yeah, thanks for watching T and D. We'll
Yes, thank you very much.
see you in the next episode.
See you in a bit, guys.
Au
Bye bye.
revoir.